Tom Vasel, and welcome to Look Back. This is where I take a look at reviews that I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and tell you what I think about them now. So let's go back a year ago and take a look at these reviews. First of all, Dominion Nocturne. Incidentally, just this week I took a look at the new expansion for Dominion. Really good expansion. Dominion Nocturne is my least favorite expansion, and I did not even keep it. I usually keep the expansions for Dominion. This one was just too convoluted for the enjoyment that it added to the game. Terrorize. This is just a silly game of these dice making eyes, and you're trying to manipulate them to make the picture of the eyes that you turn over. A great game for kids. Merlin Sam liked this one more than I did, but I still enjoyed this rondel game about moving around, and you have ways to manipulate the rondel. It's kind of interesting. Cat Lady. I was really surprised how much I liked this one. I did not really care for the art, but the simplicity of this game where you're taking rows and columns of cats and trying to get it's kind of like a drafting game, but the cards are there in front of you. It's a really simple little light card game. And Cursed Court. I still enjoy this game a lot, as you are basically bidding on controlling different people on the board and hoping that the people who, that they're going to show up, that they're going to score, and trying to get groups of them and things. This is a game that I think really kind of went under the radar, but was really fun. All right, now let's take a look 5 years ago. I took a look at a lot of reviews then. First of all, I took a look at Tomorrow. This game is not really a good game. It's kind of an interesting one. With mass population destruction. It's kind of a theme that's not really a positive one either. And really, Artipia games over the years, they don't seem to make fun games as much as they have like a good idea for a game for the most part. And this kind of is status quo for them in that regard. Then we had, Dig Mars. This is a simple game about going through piles and digging through piles and trying to find artifacts on Mars. Sheep Race. It's kind of what the title says. It's a fast little racing game. You're moving sheep around on this board. It's okay, but forgettable to the point where I had to look it up to remember what it was even about. Tuna. This is one of, I think, Robert Burke's first game where you make these animals and all these weird monsters with different shapes. It's almost more fun just to play with for kids as a toy to see what kind of weird shapes they can make with the monsters. Then we have Lohse Incognitos. This is another one of those games that I had to look up and remember on, how it all works together and everything. And again, it's just one of those kind of forgettable games. And honestly, when we get to this point 5 years, 10 years ago, if a game is one that you forget, then you might as well just move on and go to the games that you remember. So Cheaty Mages, this is a small little card game trying to get, the Cheaty Mages is such a weird name, but it's a Japanese style game. They make a lot of these odd games. And this is one that was brought over. I think AEG reprinted it. And it works okay. It's a lot of fun. And let's move on. Prosperity. I remember this one a lot, actually. For Minor Kinesia, as you're trying to move up these tracks and put these tiles in front of you and try to build it. I wasn't, when I got it, I was like, this doesn't look like much. And honestly, it doesn't look like much. Mayfair didn't put a lot of effort into how their games look, but it was fun. Rampage. Originally, it was called Rampage when I reviewed it. Now it's called Terror in Meeple City. This is one of those games that I think was like fantastic. I first heard about it. Dropping monsters and blowing on things and flicking. It's this monster destruction. It's a good game. I like it. But, as time goes by, I'm finding that many people found it just okay. Which is why I dig my rating, because even me, when I went back, I was like, yeah, it's okay. The idea is cooler than the game. The game is good, just not as good as I once thought it would be. Steam Park. Kind of a weird theme. A theme park for robots who are constantly, fighting over who gets in line, and you need to go to the bathroom and not make a mess. Robots in the park. Kind of a real-time game to some degree, but also putting out these rides in your park. It's an amusement park game. There's not very many of those, and I like it a lot. Then we have Bruges. Bruges, one of Stefan Feld's best-known games and one of my favorites of his. A game in which you are moving around on the board. You're going to you're playing these cards and you're fighting off disasters, but you kind of see which disasters are coming. But you're playing cards in many different ways. The card can be a building. It gives you kind of a special power. There's a lot of juicy goodness in this one, which makes it one of my favorites of his. Freedom, the Underground Railroad would actually be even higher on my list if it wasn't such. The game is a historical game where you are working together to free slaves. That is fantastic. Historically sound. As an educational game, one of the best in existence. But it's tough subject matter. Sometimes you have to let some slaves get captured so that more of them can get free. Those kind of tough decisions are the kind where I'm not wanting to play the game all the time. But I still have to give this game a lot of credit. Freedom Underground Railroad. Thebes, Tomb Raiders. This is the card game version of Thebes. I like it as much as the board game. It's actually a little bit better of a game, slightly. But the original one does have the bags you reach in with tiles. The original has better components. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You don't need both. They both do very similar things. Then we have Ticket to Ride, Netherlands. This is a great version of Ticket to Ride. Very tight and works really well, especially with 2 players. All right, 10 years ago, Little Thunder Witch. This game kind of is ingrained in my memory because my daughter Amy, my second oldest daughter, does not like many board games. But when 10 years ago, this was her favorite game, a little bit of a memory style game. Twister Hopscotch. This is one where you will basically are hopscotching through different colors based on the thing. It's an activity for kids. And Gemblow Redstone. Gemblow is a great game, better than Blocus actually. But the Redstone tried to add some special power stuff. It was still a decent game, but original Gemblow is still the best. Anyway, those are the things I looked at a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back on the Dice Tower.